your boy Bleed. Everybody listen up. Let's get it. I'm trying to put money in your pocket. That crypto wallet. That bing bada bing ching ching big profit. Even when the market sideways, I'm looking for ways to get paid. I'm checking my coins around breakfast, then again around bedtime. Bet this, it's not financial advice, but I'm always right. 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 I'm always right.
What is going on? I hope everybody's having a good evening. My name is Bleaves. We are checking our support levels on Bitcoin. We're going to check out a couple of different projects. We're going to see where we should be entering our positions, where our buys are going to be set up. So if you like this type of content, then make sure you hit the like button. This is brought to you by my friends at Margex. Margex is the place to go for all of your trading. Now, you guys know that is one of the ways that we survive in this business. So if you look down below, there is a link to Margex. You can sign up there today and start trading. Fund your account. They're even going to give you a little bit of a reward. So let's look at the charts right now. We are using the chart at their location for the moment. So we're going to talk about where we are. The market dipped down. I'm on a 5-minute candle right now. Just a little while ago, we saw a dip all the way down to 107,790 from Bitcoin. That's not where we think that it's going to go. We certainly think that Bitcoin is about to go lower. Right now, I'm going to switch over to TradingView to give you a better idea of what I think is getting ready to happen. So if you are looking to enter a position right now on Bitcoin, let me tell you what I think. The market right now is volatile. We're at the bottom of this box. Now, look, I put this box out here a couple of days ago thinking that this is going to be the range that we're going to be dealing with. And it looks like we're falling into this range right now. You can see if I zoom in here just a tiny bit that it's breaking exactly where we predicted that was going to be. All right. So the question right now is there a move? Is there a way to break out of this? Are we going to get that big reversal that we've been waiting for? Well, you know, if you look at the chart, if you look at the way that Bitcoin does its, let's call them patterns, if you will. Once we get this little double top over here, and we've seen it before. It's not the first time that we've seen it. We've seen little double tops happening every once in a while, and we get strong corrections to that bottom. What we're looking for is we're looking for some big plays, and we're looking for big momentum shifts. Now, when do the big momentum shifts come? Well, they come when we get a low RSI, when we get a low RSI, when we get a low RSI. Where are we right now? We are very low RSI. So I would suspect that we're going to see a reversal very, very quickly on Bitcoin. However, here's the other piece to this equation. I don't think that we're done with our dump, if you want to call it that, with the dip. Here's the thing. Today is September the 1st. On September the 2nd, traders are going to re-enter the job. Traders that have taken a few months off that usually return in the September. Why they do that, I don't know. It's just vacations. They do whatever it is that they do. But then we have this getting ready to happen right now. And that is, I think that they are going to dump. They're going to flush out their holdings. They're going to liquidate assets. If we just kind of zoom out and we say, what was the old adage? It was sell in May and walk away. Okay. So what did we do in May? Instead of selling in May and walking away, we had a significant sort of pump. But let's take a moment and let's stop right there. And let's say that in the event that you bought in May, unless you bought at the very, very end, then you are probably in profit. So anybody buying in this 100,000, and by the way, we're talking about all the way down here, anywhere from 80, 75,000 all the way up to 100,000. if you're buying in that range and you've sat on it for a couple months and you're sitting right now at 108,000, you may not have made a huge amount, but you made a little bit. If also you did a really good job and you bought down here at the bottom, then you're feeling really, really, really good right now. It's time to take a little bit of profit. So what I think is happening right now with the market is I think that we are pricing in right now that sort of dump. Now, that doesn't mean that the market is done, doesn't mean that the market is over, but it does mean that Bitcoin needs to correct just a little bit. So here we are. What I think is going to happen is over the next couple of days, we're going to see a move down into this little spot right here, right around 106,000. Once we've gotten to 106,000, I think we're going to see a significant reversal that's going to play out to some support and resistance that we've seen play out for the last little while. So I'm going to set a buy order at 106,000. Now, for those of you that don't know, I've already got a long I've been sitting on for a while, and I'm just going to let that one ride right now. But I'm going to set a buy order, $500, 5x leverage at 106,000. That's actually going to raise my DCA, but I think that we're going to get a significant reversal from 106,000. So I'm planning on this thing playing out, and then we're going to pop the top over here, if you will. I expect to see 125, 126,000, and I expect to see it over like a 2-week period. I think we're going to have just a massive run. Now, if you have not already, here's what I would say to, I don't know what you're thinking, but here's what I'm thinking, okay? Bitcoin is what drives this market. Bitcoin is what leads this market. So we are not going to have an altcoin season, which everybody's telling you we're going to have an altcoin season. We will not have an altcoin season until Bitcoin has run, until Bitcoin has absolutely broken, and we're starting to see huge numbers coming from Bitcoin. This is how the market has always worked. This is a different market, but there are some things that are going to have to financially be the same. One of those, Bitcoin has to explode in price. Then we're going to need to see Ethereum and XRP, but we'll get to that in just a few moments when we start looking at those charts. So remember, Bitcoin has to run. If Bitcoin runs, then we get a huge surge. The next surge, I think, is going to take Bitcoin up to 135,000. I called it at 134,796, but let's just call it 135,000. So that's what I think is getting ready to happen. So if you're entering a position, again, 106,000. Now, it would also, if you are looking to trade this, then what I would look for is a move down to 106,000 with a buy, and I would set a sell at 125,000. Now, I do think that we're going to go over, and I do think that we're going to break through there, but that's not the risk that I want to take. What I want to take is I want to take profit along the way. So Bitcoin goes to 125,000. We're going to completely take our profit and we're going to exit out. And then we're going to expect at that point, we're predicting a little bit, but we're going to expect a dip back down into this range right here of 117, 118, somewhere along the line right there on the bottom of all of this support that we seem to be building and resistance that we seem to be building right on that level. So what I think is we're going to have a nice little move, nice little run, break it up into 125,000, hit a nice all-time high, and then we'll see a correction come down back into this range right here, and then that's when we're going to see that maximum surge. So if you're setting a buy order, that's what I would predict is going to happen next. Now let's talk about altcoins, and we're going to start off with XRP. I've already given you a level. I'm going to refresh here and come back to this. $2.65 to me seems to be the top of this little range right here that we were at previously. And by the way, just for some bullish confirmation, if we're looking at it and we're being objective, we're going to get rid of that. We're going to draw this out just a little bit right here, and look how much support and resistance we've experienced at this exact level right at 265. When I start to draw it out, resistance, resistance, support, support, trade volume going up and down into that range, trade volume going down and up in that range. But again, showing as support and resistance, 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 and then we broke out. So there is the logic that there is a test of that level coming up one more time at 265. So set your buy orders at $2.65. Wait for another surge in the price happening as this kind of breaks out. Okay, so 265 is going to be the spot. Also, I don't see an absolute banger of a move back up to an all-time high on that until Bitcoin does its thing. So for the moment, I'm going to stay muted in my excitement for XRP and say that we're going to buy at 265, but we're going to exit this trade at $3.34. Now, you might notice that I've got this set up all the way up to $4.20. I do think that $4.20 is going to be one of those crypto bro numbers where we start to see people, we start to see a little bit of a surge in the market, and then we're going to see it stop at 420 because all the weed guys and you know what I'm talking about. All of those people are going to sell at 420 just to say that they did. So that's going to happen. But if you're a trader and you're looking for a position here where you're going to make a profit, and that's what we should be looking at right now. It's not how high or low we're going to go. It's can we make a profit? So look for a move to 265 or lower, by the way. Don't forget that there could be a breakdown below that, but we're going to find a lot of support at that level. Also, if we break that level, then you're talking about $2.50 becoming the next level, which is what we're going to be talking about right there. That's going to be about 250. So if you are going long at 265 and you are using high leverage, I would not use leverage that takes me at a liquidation level above 250. I do think that should this break out, should we get a move, that this move is potentially going to liquidate you at this level 250. So I would be using low leverage to get into that range right there. And I would also, if you have not already, kind of set up a buy right there around 255 to try and look. If you are setting up a long and you get lucky, say you put $500 in, you're going long 5x, whatever number you're using. You use that and you've got a good position, but something happens in the market. You need to set yourself another buy order to protect your position. Add to the margin so that you can take advantage of that opportunity. So that's what I would look for. That's what I would set another buy here at 255 just in case. I'd set a buy again at 250. So I'd put 500 in here, then I'd put another 500 in here, and then to be fair, I'd put 1,000 in at 250 because then that would allow your DCA to come down to about $2.57. So in the event that you get a big reversal, just in case it dips down there, then you're going to have an enormous take profit sitting there for you at $3.34. And that's where I do think we're going to go the next time. So XRP, that's what I would do. By the way, if you're not and you don't know already, we are trading on Margex right now. So if you haven't already, go sign up at Margex. Links in the description down below, and you can start trading like a pro. Also, there is copy trading available. I'm going to provide you with a copy trading account very shortly. I'm getting it set up with Margex right now. They have to approve it for me to trade and set up a copy trade account. So I'm going to set up a copy trading account that you guys will be able to watch and use. I'll give you that @ I'm going to set up a special @ maybe Believes Crypto, Margex, something like that. I'll let you guys know exactly when it is, then you'll be able to do it, and we'll have another announcement about the copy trading account. But go sign up for Margex today. Anyway, XRP 265, that's where I'm looking for as an entry position here. Now, the one that I'm nervous about the most is going to be Ethereum, because Ethereum, despite the fact that we've seen a lot of strength in Ethereum all the way up again to a new all-time high, and we've been missing that all-time high from Ethereum for a long period of time. But I think that once we get there, now we've got a problem in that the market might break this down a little bit more than we think. Now, the reason that I think that is simply because it's been very, very weak. If I take the moment here and I go to the ETF overview, Bitcoin ETF been doing just a really good job so far with capital inflows in the, what is it, 50 billion? Are we on USD? Is it 50 billion at this point? $54 billion in inflows. Now let's take it a step further. We're going to Ethereum right now. And look, we had outflows in this day, but we've had massive inflows. 3 months ago, we were talking about the Ethereum inflows $2 billion, and we were feeling good about $2 billion in capital inflows on the Ethereum ETFs. But I told you that there was a problem. The problem was you cannot use staking as a mechanism with the Ethereum ETF. When that happens, we go way more bullish than it currently is. And why do I say way more bullish than it currently is? Well, we're talking about Ethereum having dipped down just recently, $1,384. That was a huge dip. Now, this is also a reason why I say that we're kind of weak right now. Clyde says you look like my dad. Dude, I didn't know your dad was a sex god and a model. Okay, so congratulations to your dad and congratulations to you, because you've probably got great genes like Sydney Sweeney or Believes Crypto. So yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. Crypto Jam says, thanks, Believes. Appreciate your knowledge. Right now I have a DCA at 214. I did put a buy in at 265. Would you recommend do another at 250? I will stay above my DCA. I think that's the smart move. I don't think that we're going to get a dip all the way down there. I don't think that we're going to get 214. I'm going to show you why in just a moment, why I don't when we talk about the total market cap, because there's some things on there that lead me to believe that this is a very short, like if we get anything, if we get a dagger here, that dagger is not going to cut nearly as deeply as we would like to. And it's not going to give us near the entry position right now that we would really like. I mean, guys, you know, if you could get an opportunity again at $1,384, would you take it? If you could get Ethereum down to $1,500 one more time, would you buy? I mean, we know right now, all in, baby, but you know, you don't get those opportunities very frequently. You don't get those kind of dips, especially after you've gotten this kind of big move over here. And the narrative of Ethereum has changed. We're not going to get too deep into the woods, but Ethereum used to cost sometimes up to $100 or $200 or $300 to settle a transaction. Those days are long gone. Ethereum is moving at a much more robust level, so we're not going to see the type of congestion that we saw before. The layer twos at the ZK rollups, they're also incredibly inexpensive right now, and then the rollup fees that we're getting with Ethereum are also very, very nominal. So your fees, your problems for Ethereum, they've kind of gone away, and that's changed the narrative. Now, will it stay that way? The fees and the fundamentals will stay that way, but the narrative could dip. I don't think that it will, though. But here's where I want to see. By the way, to answer that, I would set 265. I would set a buy at 250 to protect my DCA just in case. I would also going back. I would set one at 250 to, 265. Then I would set one again, like right there in the middle at maybe 255, just in case you get that little dip, and then 250. And then I expect an explosive move and a reversal. Matter of fact, when we pull it up, I'm going to show you on the XRP chart so that you can see it, because it makes more sense when you're looking at it that way. But anyway, Ethereum, I think we're going to get that dagger. That dagger is going to take us down here into 39.41. It's this range right here where we got that top right there. Naturally, the markets like to correct back down, and you know, they like to find their support at that previous top, which, by the way, means that we're in an upward trend, and it would make perfect sense for this to happen. By the way, I'm just drawing this out. This is not science. This is just, you know, we're just spitballing and guessing right now. But I think that's a pretty good support range, and it's a pretty thick range. When we come over here and we start to back out just a little bit, and I take a moment to, let's pull this out just a bit more. And look how much drama you've had in this little box. So I think that we're going to get a bounce off of that, and then boom, we are off to the races. Where does the race end? Well, if you get in here at 39.41, I would set again, I would do the same thing that I was doing with Bitcoin. However, I would set it just right at $5,000, because I think the next time we go up, it's going to be 5,000 that we're going to hit. It'd be slightly higher. Then we're going to see a breakdown. That break back down probably comes into this 4,500 range, maybe 43, somewhere in this range right here. By the way, I'm spitballing, guessing. Again, this is not, at this point, you know, just kind of zoom out here and you look at, you know, it's going to be right there. So, you know, if I'm If I'm doing it, then I'm saying like right in that sort of range right there, which is exactly where we're talking about. So that's where the corrective move goes. So maybe we get to 43, 44 after that run to 5. Then after that, it's on to 6,000. Now, here's the problem with Ethereum. Ethereum, I don't see going beyond 6,000. I think that Ethereum, I think that Ethereum is how we're going to have an altcoin season. But also, I don't think that Ethereum is going to go to 8 or 12,000 like I used to think. And the reason for that is actually very simple. I think that the market is saturated with so many different things at the moment that we've diluted some of the available capital in ways that we can't get back, if that makes sense. There's too many different projects right now that have some value going into the future. The last bull run, we saw the starts of it, and we saw a lot of different blockchains cropping up and popping up. We saw them kind of breaking out. We saw a bunch of different things. But what we didn't see was we didn't see infrastructure really kind of being built, and we haven't seen a lot of different things. So I don't think that Ethereum is going to be as hot as it was before. What I do think is going to end up being hot is going to be Solana. I think Solana as a meme coin hub is going to have a double rip, if you will. And by the way, there's plenty of projects being built on Ethereum. That's not the problem. Again, the problem is it used to be that it was Ethereum's game and they were the only bar in town. So if you wanted to go have a drink with a meme coin, the only place you could go was to Ethereum. Now you can go to Sui, which has a huge ecosystem. You can go to Avalanche, which has a huge ecosystem for meme coins. You can go to Base, which has a gigantic platform for meme coins as well. And you can go to Solana. There's a lot of different places right now to choose from that you did not have in 2021. So back to Ethereum, I think 6,000. When we get to 6,000, we're going to see an absolute breakdown on Ethereum. And, we'll be looking at entry position. And by the way, don't forget, I think that sometime this month, 9/12, I think it is, we're going to have the announcement of the Ethereum staking for the ETF. That's going to allow all investors in Ethereum to earn 3% yield in Ethereum by letting their crypto, their Ethereum, work for them by becoming a validator. And I think that BlackRock, I think that ERC-20, I think they're all going to set it up, and it's going to be ready to go. And they're probably already ready. For those of you that don't know, the 19B4s have already been filed to change and allow for staking. So it's only a matter of the SEC saying, yes, it's time to go. When that happens, and it looks like it will probably be a surprise because I'm not hearing a lot of data about it, but when it happens, it will be a surprise, and that is going to change fundamentally the way that Ethereum is perceived by institutions. So that doesn't mean that I think it's going to go above 6,000, but I think it's going to have easier road to 6,000. Now, let me show you why I don't have the same confidence in Ethereum by looking at Solana. Solana right now, again, this is going to be like a meme coin paradise. So where do I see Solana going? Well, the problem with Solana is it's very aggressive. When I look for spots here, when I look for trend lines and stuff like that, Solana is just looking very, very, very aggressive. So let's move that off the bottom there and come up to this sort of range right here and look at the stair step that's going on with Solana right now. So if I'm a betting man, then I'm going to say this. I'm going to say, and by the way, remember there's weakness here for Solana, but if I'm looking at it, I'm looking at about 186, 185 maybe as my next level. And I would just kind of, until it breaks this line, I'm going to say that this line is going to be there. Now, the problem is when it gets to this line, if news is not good, if something happens, if Trump throws out another tariff, like what if he tariffs Mars for some stupid reason? I mean, he does crazy stuff. So what if he puts a tariff on Mars and then people are like, oh my God, I can't believe there's a tariff on Mars, and they start selling like donkeys, then you could see an opportunity to accumulate at 170. Now, if you see that, that's going to be your buy signal for a long, that's going to be, I think that would kick off a parabolic run, because that's going to be that quote unquote that's as generational a dip as you're going to get in this current market. That 122 that we're looking at down here, that's gone. We're not going to see that one for a while. Now, I say that, but there could be anything that happens in this market. Solana is going to break down 186, 185 maybe. Then if we capitulate there, then you've got to move to 170 that could come. But then after that, now let's zoom out here and let's start doing some speculative stuff. And if we look at it from this standpoint, then we're going to take the trend line at the bottom. We're going to take the trend line right here. So we can see right here that, we've had this long-term sort of range, but that range right there was $197. When we come up here right now, we're talking about 123, 124, 125. Don't think that we're going to get there. If we have a breakdown, I think we're going to have a break up first. Where I think if we get something like this, that would correspond with where we are right now. Then we have a break up to the top of this range right here, 260, 270. We could get one more breakdown. Now, we're still going to be in a bull run. I'm going to show you why that's the case as well. The more likely scenario for this, however, is going to be this move down here and then this right here. And you're going to be like, oh my God, it's going to peel your eyes. The reason that that's going to happen, though, is not because people are bullish on Solana versus Ethereum or XRP or anything like that. It's going to be because Bitcoin blew up. And that's what I think is coming. Bitcoin going to blow up. So that's what I think is going to happen with Solana. So if you're setting a buy order, 185, set a buy order, set yourself one more buy at 170. Again, if you have a leverage position, I wouldn't take leverage that puts me above 170 because that dip is still potential all the way down. And by the way, don't forget, these could be daggers. You could see an absolute capitulation at any moment. So when I say these things, I'm saying in the normal course of business, expect a move to 185. And if it doesn't bounce from there, a move to 170 and then a breakout from 170. That's going to be, I think, low enough for people at this point. Now, I do like, by the way, if you get liquidated and if you get wrecked, then right there, if something breaks and just absolutely goes nuts, still 122 is going to be your spot. So if you want to make it back, if you get liquidated under 170 and it comes down into that 155, 156, I would be looking for a move all the way down. Another test of this support, broke down, came right back up in a couple of days, back into it as support, and then support right here. So this level is a big level. So 122, just in case, you'll make all your money back. If you get liquidated here and it comes down, you will make all your money back pretty quickly off of that. So just remember that and keep that in the back of your mind if you're making that move. Moving on to OM, you guys know that I'm a big fan of Mantra, that I think that everything they've been doing has been phenomenal since the collapse happened. That collapse happened because one trader got liquidated and he was using Aave as his lending source. Now, what we've seen at this point is what I would call a double bottom. We've seen the bottom hit right here that looks to me to be a bottom. Then we saw a significant retest up to about 40 cents. Then we saw another breakdown, another test, and then we saw a capitulation. Now we're seeing the capitulation. So I would suspect that we're going to see over the next 2 weeks or so trade volume right in this range right here. We could see a spike, but more likely we're going to see some trading in this range right here. And then a huge move is going to come right after that because we've hit that double bottom and then we're going to get the breakout. Now, I wouldn't be trading this. I wouldn't be using leverage position on this right now. Still too weak for me. Nothing wrong with buying at 20 cents though. If you can buy Mantra at 20 cents, I would buy some Mantra at 20 cents. Also, if you are in your DevE positions, and by the way, for anybody who tried to argue with me about 50 cents being the floor. I don't know what else to tell you, brother. I told you that it was not the floor. I warned you that it would break down below. These guys have not done anything to inspire confidence for the market. By the way, for those of you that don't understand, you hear me saying this right now, you think I'm bearish on the project. This is my most bullish project. This is the one that I think is going to $50 from 44 cents. or from 40 cents. From 40 cents, I think it's going to $50. I think that it is going to have a massive breakout. I think they're going to reveal their partner to be NASDAQ. I think that they're going to have a magnificent run, but none of that matters. That's your spot bag that's going to matter right there. What matters right now is how low could it go in the meantime. And nothing that this team is doing is inspiring investor confidence right now. Not because, and by the way, not because it's not a great project, not because it's not a good project, not because they don't have a lot of stuff going on. The problem is they don't have any marketing, and they're not doing any marketing until they have something to market. This is not a hype meme coin. This is not something where, you just, you buy it and you hope that they get a listing on an exchange or something like that. They're not interested in any of that. What they're interested in is solid fundamentals that are going to drive this project. So if we take that off and we say that that was just kind of an aberration right there, and we look at it from this, we're becoming less bullish for right now. There is a possibility that if you took a position right now on Devi at 40 cents, you could get a strong bounce back up here into that 70-cent range in very, very short order. Now we zoom out here and we see that, we got this dagger at 35 cents that came in back in June. It would be easier to get back to that level. So it's going to be easier. So that's why I'm nervous at 40 cents still. I still remain bullish on the project, but this is a complicated, this is going to be a tough one. This is going to be a tough one to break out of. I do think this team is good. I think they're solid. I think they are going to break out. Again, $50 is my prediction by the end of the year, by the way. So if you're wondering, is there a project that I think is going to absolutely break out and blow your mind? This is the one. I do think it's going to go over 100x when they get the announcement of their partner and it's revealed who their big partner is, which again, I'm 99.9% sure that it's NASDAQ, but I don't know for sure. But if you see that something's coming with Devi and you see some kind of announcement, expect that it's going to be monumental. And by the way, for those of you that haven't, if you go back to a video I did about a month ago, then one of the conversations that I had was I had a conversation with ChatGPT, and I asked, what do you think, considering where Devi is, what they're doing, and what would their partnership with NASDAQ look like? They predicted between $25 and $70. So I think I'm on the right track with this. And I think that if that is their partner, that they will become basically a mandatory institutional place. And if that's the case, then I would expect this thing to go absolutely parabolic. I would expect to see, God candles popping up. We'll see this. We'll see these candles right here we'll see bigger candles. We'll see these candles right here, and we'll see them for days. We'll see, one day it'll be at, as soon as that announcement is made, I'm pretty sure it's going to surge up to, oh, by the way, I don't have to get a tattoo. I made a bet with somebody that if it hit $3 within 60 days, that I would get a tattoo. 60 days is up, came down instead of up. But ultimately, all the way up here, I think it's going to settle at $12 for a short spell. The reason for that is that's $1 billion market cap. Then I think it's going to go to $5 billion market cap, which is going to be $50. You need 20,000 Devi to be a millionaire. So if you're looking to enter a position, by the way, you cannot do that at my partner that has sponsored this, which is Margex, because Margex does not have Devi on tap at this point. You would have to go to another exchange like MEXC if you wanted to make that trade, but you can buy it on spot. So moving on to the next one, that is, we're going to skip a few over here. VeChain, not confident, not feeling, I'm not feeling VeChain right now. The market's not feeling VeChain right now, but let me show you what happens when you're not feeling VeChain. VeChain works violently. So the last time we got it, we got this kind of breakdown right here. We're not feeling it. We're not feeling it. We're not feeling it. We're not feeling it. Then we start to create this little floor right here, and we get this wedge, and then boom, we finally get this breakout, and it goes absolutely nanners. Okay. So if that is the case, then I would suspect that we're about to see something along those lines, because what I'm seeing is the same thing playing out. Lower and lower and lower we go. And this is not the same. You can see this, but it's kind of the same. You got this and this and this, right? So you got this, this, and this. Then you have this one wick, that candle that takes us down. Again, you got a dagger that takes us down here, which is at 18 cents. So you could see a breakdown by VeChain if the market does dip to 18 cents. But then afterwards, I suspect we're about to see a magnificent rally. So if you're entering a position right now, I would not take it where it is right now. I wouldn't take it where it is right now because it's in the middle of any range that you might be looking at. So what I mean is, so that seems to be kind of the floor right there, if we're taking a guess. Then you have a top over here where sellers tend to step in, right? And that's right there. You see this a couple times. You saw that we broke out to this range right here, got rejected. We broke out to this range right here, looked like it was going to be good, but then got rejected. By the way, this significant pump right here got eaten back up and took us back into the same range. Again, normally when you see something like that, that just means insiders are trying to manipulate people to get in. And where you're trending right now is where you were trending last year. So when it comes to new holders, new investors, you may have added some more, but all you've done is replace existing investors. So you haven't made any progress on VeChain in a year. Those things you have to take note of, even if that's not 100% right. You have to take notice of it, and then you have to recognize where the floors are. So, what I would say is take yourself an order, set it up at about 20 cents right now, and then set a sell for 33 cents and sell off your original investment on the bag, and then just take your moon bag and then just ride it and see where it goes. If it goes up, if it breaks out, if it has a nice little run, then you've made a significant gain off of it, but it didn't cost you anything. You were able to make a free bag by putting some risk on it at 20 cents. So again, breaks out right there, then take your money at that spot. If it goes up, you've got a bag in it. You've got some risk still in it. If it comes back down, you will have taken your profit right there, and you would have taken your original investment out. So you're still in profit no matter what, even if it dips back down to your entry position. And you can DCA and you can add more because you made some profit along the way. So you have there's no risk involved for me anyway. So 20 cents, if it hits 20 cents, get ready for just an absolute banger of a move. Let's look at Ondo. Really kind of the same thing. You're looking at Ondo doing about, I want to say right around there. You're looking at about 65 cents from Ondo. Possibility of a breakdown to that for Ondo. However, let's just say that Ondo looks pretty weak right now, right there, which as we bring this out, look at this right here. You can kind of see that we're really kind of in the zone for Ondo, but we're on the top. So if you're going to enter and you're going to take some risk here, then this is the spot to take that risk, because guess what? You broke down here and you got immediately bought back up real strong, back to $1. Where you are right now, I don't think it goes to $1. I think it goes to right about, well, I guess that is about $1. So I think we're going to have a strong rally to $1. That is a guess about what's going to happen right there. I'm not sure that's going to happen. If it does not, and you start to see it breaking down, you've got some support right in this sort of range right here at around 80 cents. But I would expect after that a breakdown to 65 cents and then a very strong rally from there. So if you're trading it right now, by the way, we're not talking about shorting. We're not talking about setting any shorts right now. We're only talking about long positions. I would set some longs for these positions right here, and look for a move. Look for the potential for a spike. Look, if you can, to DCA at around 80 cents. If it comes down there and you get lucky, then 65 cents is going to be that bottom for you. Then after that, then it should be all uphill from there. Now, let's stop here. Let's go to let me do SWE real quick. SWE buy right now. I think SWE, just the same as every other one. That 0.45, by the way, is the biggest, most predictable pattern right there. If you bounce off of 445, then you're going back up to the 236. So I think SWE goes from where it is right now, 316, 317, up to $4.16. Like, boom. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's going to break out pretty quickly. If the narrative still feels good, then that's what's going to happen. Now, the nervous person in me says, I could take this down to 231 and I would still be feeling pretty bullish about it. So there's still some possibility of a breakdown into the golden zone. If you get into the golden zone right there, I would certainly go long and I would look for a big move. Again, that's a little too far back to the 236. I would think that that's kind of where we are right now. It seems to be where we're getting a lot of resistance. So that's going to be my spot right there. We got Luna Classic Maxi in the house. What's going on, my man? So anyway, that's where it is. Now let's break down why I think what I think, where I think, when I think what I'm talking about. Okay. We're going to do this. Let me do one thing first. I want to show you the M2 money supply for the United States. This is a monthly calendar. There's no weekly or daily or anything like that. This is just a monthly calendar. Look at what's going on right now in the United States. Okay. And first of all, let's recognize USA #1 when it comes to crypto right now. This is where our risk is. Okay. So look at that right there. We have broken out to all-time highs on in the USA. We have turned the money printer on and we are continuing to print money, which means that more money in the system means more money going into risk assets. Have you tried to sell a comic book lately? Have you tried to sell a baseball card lately? They are popping off. I have family members making thousands of dollars a day trading baseball cards and comic books because this risk market is so saturated and heavy. And by the way, the Trump administration agreed to spend $5 trillion more. So we haven't even printed $5 trillion yet. This was, let's go back to May. So May, boom, 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 we approved it right there. This is where we approved it. It was at 22 trillion. We're only at 22.12 trillion. So we've only added, about 200 billion into the market. But we are going to add a lot more capital into this market. We're going to see this thing continue to rise. And that means risk assets going to continue to rise. Now let's take that off the table, go back over to the total, and then let's look at the worldwide global money supply. Worldwide global money supply tells me, boom, right here, whoops, that we're about to go so much higher. Okay. I mean, so much higher. Now, look, there is a very close, but not this is an imperfect correlation, but it is very, very closely related. Now, when I say that, what I mean is, you look at the top over here, you look at the bottom over here, it happened perfectly. You look at the little dump thing we had right there. Then you look at a little sideways action and a dump coming down. Same thing happened over here. Then you see this breakout right here. Then you see this little sideways corrective measure, which we saw right here. Then you see that we didn't go up as crazy as we wanted to. Like we should have seen maybe a little bit more aggressive. We should have, gotten a little bit more. However, when you start to break all this down and when you start to look at this in an overall fashion, you start to, really get granular on it. The dollar supply doesn't equate to where it's actually going to go. So just know that. Now, but the pattern is going to be very, very similar. So what pattern are we in right now? Well, we're in this pump right there, led to that right there. This dump that we're in right now is where we currently are. This is what comes afterwards. For anybody who's wondering, this is where we are getting ready to go. This means money supply across the world is going out of its mind right now. Okay. We are minting more and more and more and more and more and more money. $100 trillion is what's circulating in the world today. Just to give you guys an idea, it was 97 trillion in it was 97 trillion a couple months ago, 3 months ago. So there's trillions more dollars entering these markets. We're going to see another gigantic move. This move right here is what's on tap. We are going so much higher. Okay. And by the way, it could be any number of things that happen in the markets. I'm not saying that there won't be. I'm just saying that when you start to do this and you start to kind of bear this out and you start to look at this from an honest place of What's the money flow look like? What are we going to do? Guys, it correlates. It correlates almost perfectly. Okay. Remember, you're being manipulated. You are being manipulated. Got my seeker yesterday, and I staked 3,000 ton TARS AI on it. Also, some Sol and some grass. I don't know. It seems like a good buy. I'm scaling into spot on Solana. Yeah, you know what? I really like TARS AI. For those of you that don't know, TARS AI is the only AI protocol that was that's sponsored by the Solana Foundation or endorsed by the Solana Foundation. So that is a big deal. Solana's been very selective in what they've done, and that's a good sign for TARS AI. Again, right now is not the time for these things to absolutely break out unless some kind of big announcement happens. That's really just individual stuff. We're not in the banana zone. We're not in the frenzy yet. In order to get into the frenzy, we need Bitcoin to rip. And by the way, the other part to this is now that we know that money is going to go up, now that we can see legitimately, no matter what any of these dingbats on X are telling you, no matter what these dirt-ditters are saying about it's over, bro, they're stupid, okay? Money flow continues to increase. When money flow increases, risk assets go up. End of story. It's not a debate. There's no question about it. That is how it happens. So we are going up. We are going to go so much higher. Now, one more thing. Bitcoin dominance. Now, we're going to remove the money flow because that's going to be irrelevant to what we're talking about right here. This is what it's looked like for the last little while. This is where we've had the breakouts, right? This is where we had, by the way, at the end of last year, this is when we had the last Solana pump, the last Ethereum pump. This is when we had all these pumps, right? Then what happened? We got Bitcoin to break out to an even higher level. Well, what just happened? Same thing. What happened when we got to the bottom of the range? Right there. Look at that. Like we are crawling up there. What does that tell you? What it tells me is that we're not breaking to the downside. What that tells me right here is that we are about to break out and Bitcoin is about to go on a crazy run. Okay. And by the way, that does mean some risk assets are going to suffer. We're seeing that in things like DevE. We're seeing that in things like OM. You come down the line, you're going to see it in a couple of different ones. Not all of them, but you're going to see some breakdown. Okay. When that breakdown happens, it's going to start going, Bitcoin is going to start going parabolic. We're going to go up, 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 up and away. The ultimate goal here, by the way, this is the top last time. I'll show you over here. This is where, like these are the levels that we were at previously. I don't think we get to those levels. I think that 70% probably going to be right where it is if we get there. So Bitcoin breaks into the 70s right here, and then it's going to be altcoin season. The reason for that, by the way, is because remember, again, correlating it, Bitcoin continues to surge. And every time we get to the top of these ranges, Bitcoin goes higher and higher and higher. And Bitcoin is following its own range. So if Bitcoin is going to follow that range and we're going to have a breakout, then where is it going to go? Well, it's going to go up to at least the top of this range. And if it were to do that today, that's 145,000. If it were to do it in a couple of days, it's 151,000. You know what I mean? Like once we get that parabolic run, once we start that breakout, once we get that exit momentum started, once we get there, it's going to take a few days to get there, of course. And we're going to keep going higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. And then the breakdown comes. The real breakdown comes. What does the real breakdown look like? Well, here it is right here. This is the last breakdown. This was altcoin season. All right. Let me show you exactly what altcoin season looked like. All right. It's right there. It was from Tuesday, January 5th of 2021 until May of 2021. That's exactly when it all happened. Now, remember, during the course of summertime, we got all of that stuff. But look here, we never got that big breakdown. Bitcoin already broke down. We need to see Bitcoin break down. Now, the one piece that I will tell you has me thinking there's a possibility that it goes nuts from here is this right here. All right. That trading volume right there showing how much we respected that level before that breakdown. that could happen right here. And, you know, if Bitcoin could disappoint, if that happens, then Bitcoin only goes to probably 140,000, 150,000, and it doesn't break out to 175. But Bitcoin has always hit the golden ratio on Fibonacci. The golden ratio on Fibonacci from the last bull run is 173,000. So Bitcoin is going to surge. All right. And by the way, for those of you wondering, I did tell you that it is my opinion that the bull run is not done and that we are going to have a huge double top and that we're going to see that start to play out. And the reason that that's going to play out is, back one more time, M2 money supply. Look what's happening right now. Well, what's happening right now is we got this massive surge not that long ago. All right. A massive surge right into that. And we then capped over here. Once it capped, broke down. That's going to be December. That's going to be that bearish market. And then boom, January, it's going to start to fucking send again. So I think that that's going to be leading us right into tax time. Remember, the last time we ran, the last time it went crazy, there was a lot of tax money running around. Well, there's no tax money right now. People are not getting tax refunds. But that is a great place for these markets and these venture capital companies and all these places. That's a perfect place for them to trap you. So might even get a triple top. We might even get the mighty, we might get, bam, and then, a huge dip and then bam, and then a huge dip and then bam. We might get it like that, the way it's looking. It's just going to be a question of the money supply and how that money supply is running. And then when people start to feel we're at the top and we're tired and it's over, right? Now, by the way, just so you guys understand, Bitcoin is surging right now. The Bitcoin dominance is starting to run back up. So we're seeing what I'm saying is going to happen, actually happening as we're playing it out. So be watching for a continuation of this nice move so far. So that's basically it, guys. Set your positions, get ready, because there's some opportunity, and we're not going too deep into it. I did give you a few of these smaller caps, but look, if everything that you do in your crypto journey is about accumulating more Bitcoin, you are going to make it. Okay. It is my belief that the best thing that you could do for yourself is, your profits, when you take your profits, put some of it into Bitcoin, buy a little bit of Bitcoin every single time. If you decide you got to cash out $10,000 because you got to pay some bills, cash out $12,000, buy $2,000 worth of Bitcoin. You will not regret it. You won't regret it. Now, the other thing is you might want to sell it early, not too long from now, if it goes to 175,000, because then you're going to have an enormous dips. So if you get an enormous dip, you can accumulate a little bit more. By the way, for those of you that don't understand, the best trading tool, the best trading indicator of all time is the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index. If you buy Bitcoin when the market goes to 30, and on spot, by the way, not on margin, but and you can do that, by the way, spot trading as well on Margex. But if you buy at 30 and you sell at 70 every single time, you will make millions. Boom. There you go, right there. What I do instead of paying my bills, I buy Bitcoin, lend it on Aave, borrow USDC, and pay my bills with that instead. You've just solved cryptocurrency, guys. There it is right there. That's what you do. So if you haven't already, that's what you should be doing. Buy yourself more Bitcoin, more Bitcoin, more Bitcoin. Remember, they're going to run out at some point and price is going to explode. And by the way, don't forget, I don't think that Bitcoin goes through the same dip as we had last time. There will be a dip. There's always a correction, but I don't think it's going to look like it did before. And I think that Bitcoin probably decouples from the rest of the market. And then I think that as cryptocurrencies go, Bitcoin becomes a store of value. The thing that becomes the most valuable asset will probably be XRP, followed by Ethereum, and then Solana, and then Base. So that's what I think is going to happen. But Base doesn't have a coin, so make of that what you will. All right, guys, that's my time. Set your trades right now. Make sure you sign up for Margex down there. It helps me out tremendously. It's not financial advice, but I'm always right. You guys have a good day, and we'll see you.
I'm looking for the good life, good life. Sitting on top of the world. I wanna be shining like diamonds and pearls. I want you to go.